A black woman in a faded janitor's uniform mopped the marble floors of a billion-dollar company day in, day out, for 15 years. Executives brushed past her like she was invisible. Some whispered insults. One even spilled coffee on purpose. They never asked her name. They never looked her in the eye. To them, she was just the help. But today, everything changed. Today, she called a meeting and fired the CEO. No one saw it coming, not even him. Every morning at 5 a.m., Martha, James pulled on her worn-out sneakers, packed a lunch she rarely had time to eat, and caught the first bus downtown. For 15 years, she cleaned the hallways, offices, and bathrooms of Sterling & Cole Industries, a company built on polished glass and polished egos. The executives didn't know her name, but they knew her mop. They joked when she passed. Called her the floor lady. Martha never reacted. She just nodded, cleaned, and listened, always listening. To deals being made, secrets spilled, and people who assumed she didn't exist. They thought she was just a janitor, just another invisible black woman doing invisible work. But beneath the silence was a plan, one that started the day she was called a racial slur in the break room, and no one said a word. She smiled then, because they had no idea what was coming. It started with whispers. Little things. Did you see her fall asleep in the break room? One intern giggled. Probably can't read half the signs she's cleaning, a manager muttered. They laughed like she wasn't standing right there. One day, the CEO, Richard Halden, strutted past her, dropped his half-eaten sandwich on the floor, and smirked. Be a dear and get that, would you? No, please, no, thank you. Just that smug look of superiority. Martha knelt, silent, picking it up with trembling hands, not from anger, but control. Later, she overheard him bragging to a board member. I'd fire half the staff if I could. Start with the cleaning crew, dead weight. The board member laughed. They're not even real employees, just contracted ghosts. Martha felt the weight of it all pressing down. 15 years of being invisible, of being ignored, of being less. 1 week later, Richard walked into his office and found Martha sitting in his chair, feet up, calm, waiting. He blinked. What the hell do you think you're doing? She smiled. Funny. I was about to ask you the same thing. His face turned red. You've got 10 seconds to get out before I call security. She leaned forward, pulled out a folder, and slid it across the desk. Call whoever you want, she said coolly. But this company, it's mine. Everything went silent. Richard stared at the folder like it was a bomb. He flipped it open, his hands shaking now. Inside, ownership papers, legal filings, and a quiet trail of acquisitions that led straight to Martha James. She hadn't just bought stock. She'd slowly acquired controlling interest through a shell company over a decade ago. You're lying, he stammered. This is some kind of sick joke. Martha stood. 15 years ago, I started cleaning this building. 15 years ago, you told your board I wasn't worth a name, so I became the one who signs yours. He lunged forward, trying to yank the papers from her hands. You can't do this. She didn't flinch. Oh, but I already have. You're fired, Richard. Effective immediately. Security appeared at the door. Not for Martha, but for him. His eyes widened. Wait, they work for you? Martha nodded slowly. They always have. You just never looked long enough to see it. And with that, the janitor became the boss. Richard was escorted out that same afternoon, past the janitors, the assistants, the people he'd never acknowledged. Some clapped, most just watched, stunned. And Martha? She didn't gloat. She simply walked the halls, head high, finally seen for who she truly was. But it wasn't just about revenge. It was about justice. For every ignored worker, for every black woman overlooked, underestimated, and silenced. Martha transformed the company. From the inside out, fair wages, diversity in leadership, mentorship programs for women of color. She didn't just change the building, she changed the culture. Still, the question lingers. Why did it take power for her to be treated like a person? This wasn't just one story. It's a reflection of something deeper, something still alive, in workplaces everywhere. So ask yourself, how many Marthas have you walked past without seeing? Tell us in the comments. What country and city are you watching from? Let's make sure stories like Martha's are heard, everywhere.